Joining us now is Ambassador Sergiy Kyslytsya, the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador, thank you, first of all, for joining us. We're seeing so many new measures from Putin, including the conscriptions. There's also concern over this referendum that under international law is considered illegal, basically. And I think the most alarming concern for the international community at this point is the threat that Putin could resort to nuclear weapons. How concerned are you about that?
I think that everybody is concerned all around the globe because the use of nuclear weapons is unprecedented, and the threat is against the UN Charter and all international order. And I think that it is a crucial moment. It's a litmus test for the entire international community how it will respond. Will it follow according to the deterrence policies that have been approved and in place for decades or not? We will see. I have no doubt that the reaction, God forbid it happens, will be very radical and swift.
Ambassador, the world has been mobilized to Ukraine's plight. But in the UN Security Council, Russia holds a permanent seat. It has, especially as we're discussing now, this referendum that most Western countries are calling a sham referendum to annex parts of Ukraine. How complicated is it for you? Because as we've heard over and over again, there are violations of international law that are happening, but with Russia being able to veto any action by the UN, what changes do you think are necessary?
Right. I agree with you except one point. Russia does not hold the seat of the permanent member. Russia sits in the seat of the Soviet Union, according to our legal position. And it is true that Russia has been allowed to use the veto for decades. And when it comes to the Ukrainian issues, as it has been proven, Russia, it is not the Security Council, it is rather Insecurity Council. We have total isolation of Russia in the Security Council when, for example, we had this vote to allow Zelensky to address Security Council. 13 members out of 15 members voted in favor to let Zelensky address the Council. But when it comes to the substance, Russia is allowed to veto necessary decisions. And I think that tomorrow in the afternoon, when the Security Council will meet to discuss the so-called referenda, we will see.
So is it your position that because that seat was given to the USSR, that Russia is not entitled to hold?
My position is that, and our lawyer's position is that Russia holds illegally the seat in the Security Council that belongs to the Soviet Union. But that's not the matter. The matter of fact is that even if the Security Council were able to approve any decision, I think that the dynamics in Moscow are such that Putin could not care less about the opinion of the Security Council. It would not stop Putin from what he does. And that is a crucial moment in the 21st century where the international community has to review the global architecture, to review how the Security Council operates, and to design something that would be indeed effective.
Now, as you put to question, the effectiveness and the role of the UN Security Council, I want to transition to the responsibility of the international community. Today, the United States announced $457.5 million in civilian security assistance for Ukraine. That's, of course, on top of the billions in aid that the U.S. has already provided. Besides funding, what else does your country need from international allies at this point in the war?
Well, first of all, we need speeding up of the supply of weapons and specific weapons that would allow us to protect Ukrainian airspace and to deter the Russians. The Russians are impotent when it comes to the offensive on the ground, but they are very, very powerful when it comes to hitting with missiles every night and day Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. So we need specific weapons to deter their missile attacks on Ukraine.
Ambassador, your country has been calling for that since the beginning of the war. Russia's threats have limited, in some ways, what other international operators are willing to do. Is that a source of frustration for your country?
We are frustrated with the fact that the Russian Federation reached the point where it has a free hand on many global affairs, and we are there at this point because of the complacency of many of us for many decades of Russian irresponsible actions globally. But we are very much encouraged with the support that we receive, including in the General Assembly, where 141 nations voted to designate Russia as an aggressor state on the 2nd of March this year.
So we're hopeful that things are starting to turn.
I have never had any doubts that Ukraine will militarily defeat Russia on Ukrainian territory, but it is not going to be the end, because to prevent it from repetition, we have to deal with the root causes of that problem. And unfortunately, it is up to the Russian citizens to decide how they see the future of their country. And I don't really, why I say unfortunate, because I don't really see the strengths in the Russian society to address the issues of the future of their own nation.
Well, they're not allowed to protest, and those who are just seeing the consequences.
Well, I'm sorry, that's kind of an excuse. I mean, when Ukrainians are not happy with their leadership, we remove the leadership either through the elections or we take it into the streets. We had 5 presidents in the course of the Putin's rule in Russia. There is an entire generation in Russia that was born under Putin, grew up under Putin, and now is sent as a cannon fodder to the front.
So it sounds like your plea to the Russian people is to remove Vladimir Putin from power.
There is no other way but to plea for the Russian people to take their own future in their own hands.
And so much of that opposition is now leaving by the thousands, leaving, fearing this draft, leaving because of everything else that is happening to them, and especially just not being able to protest, free expression.
Indeed, but that's a very complicated issue. Yeah. I mean, I think that it is very dangerous when Ukrainian refugees abroad are equalized with the Russians fleeing from mobilization. In fact, I think that is also a security issue for the countries that receive Russian males of the conscription age, with no security clearance. And so that's sort of a Trojan horseman, if I may to say. I am in favor of giving protection to some genuine members of the opposition, but to allow millions of Russians to flee to Europe is irresponsible. If you look at the UN data, there are more than 15 million Russians between 20 and 34 years old. I mean, that's the male of conscription age. You can't really let all of them flood Europe. It's irresponsible.
But your president is saying that they are welcome.
They are welcome to surrender. If they are sent to the front, they are welcome to surrender, and we guarantee them protection according to the Geneva Conventions when it comes to the obligations under humanitarian law.
That's one avenue.
A contrast to what your country has seen as you've reclaimed territory in the East. Ambassador Sergiy Kyslytsya, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.